Beer Training Part 2. Style of beer: ale, pale ale, Indian pale, brown ale, Trappist, stout and porter, pilsner, fruit beers, Bartender expert, Marzen or Vienna style, lager, bock, Lambic, Gueuze, and wheat beer. Ale. The term ale is used to indicate a beer that is top fermented and that will have a fruity aroma and mild hops character. Pale ale. Pale ale is made with amber malt, which imparts not only the color to the ale, but also a mild nuttiness. While the ale contains hops, the noteworthy character of the beer is the malty nuttiness on the finish, rather than a hoppy bitterness. India Pale Ale. The ale is more full-bodied than regular pale ale, with a distinct hop nose and strong bitterness. Brown Ale. Brown ale is a very malty in character, with very light hops. It's a reddish-brown ale from amber and a dash of chocolate malt, and has both fruitiness and a nutty character with a dry finish. Brown ales from southern England tend to be lower in alcohol, darker, and retain their malty sweetness. Trappist Ale. The designation Trappist Ale indicates a beer that has been made in Trappist monastery. 6 monasteries, like Orban, Chimay, Rochefort, Rushmade, St. Sixtus, and Schnappford, are the only Trappist breweries in the world. The name is not necessarily a designation of style, since many of the breweries make multiple styles. However, they do have a common pedigree. All the ales are top fermented and bottle conditioned, meaning secondary fermentation in the bottle to produce carbonation. This means a lot of loose sediment, but also a very winery character, fruity and aromatic. Stout and porter. Most of the deep dark ales in the market today are stout. Stout are actually a fuller-bodied version of the original porter style. These dark beers develop a dark, roasty, lighty, fruity beer, stout. Originally, stout porter has come embodied the style, with both dry and sweet version. Dry stout have a strong roasty, coffee flavor, strong hop bitterness, and a bit of fruity acidity. The essential dry stout is Guinness. Dry stout is not high in alcohol, yet seems satisfying due to the strong flavor and rich mouthfeel. The dryness acts like an aperitif, encourage the appetite through the beer, seems filling. Sweet stouts are made by the addition of sugar to the pasteurized beer before bottling. Pasteurization is necessary to prevent any stray yeast from fermenting the added sugar in the bottle. Cream or milk stout derive their name from the addition of lactose to the brew before fermentation. Yeast cannot ferment lactose, so the other remains in the final ale and provide a richness and sweetness to the brew. Oatmeal stout is a recent development, and oatmeal typically makes a percentage of grain in the single digit, but even the use of the little amount of oatmeal produces brew that is silky and sweet, to complement the chocolate and the coffee flavors. Lager. Lagers are the result of bottom fermentation at low temperatures and cold storage. These produce a beer that is foamy, clear, clean, crisp, and refreshing. Pilsner. Named for the city of Pilsen in the Czech Republic, Pilsner is a golden lager that has taken over the beer world. The majority of the world's beer is made in a Pilsner style. Pilsner should have medium body and alcohol content, and is the most noted in light malt character in its distinctive hop bitterness and aroma. It is the aroma that distinguishes this beer. Even the country has a dominant Pilsner style beer, from Budweiser to Stella Artois, Beck's, and Heineken. Darkmont Export. Often known just as an export, this lager is not as aromatic as a Pilsner and it's more alcoholic. An export has more hops character, and it's more bitter than a pilsner. With less malty influence, it's lower in carbonation and therefore does not produce as a foamy head when poured. Export are full body due to the more unfermentable sugars in the world. Marzen or Vienna style lagers. These beers are similar in color to a good pale ale. They are amber red or bronze and emphasize the malt character on the nose and the palate, giving it a certain sweetness. This beer gets its name from the month of March, typically the end of brewing season. This style is full body and higher in alcohol content because it has to last through the summer until it's time to brew again. So the increased alcohol and body enables the beer to survive months of storage. Bock. The darkest of the lager is bock. The name derives from the Lambic, a village in Germany whose local beer style is emulated. A bock is a strong lager, often among the strongest beers. It was originally export from India, which forced a stronger style to be made to survive the journey. It's a smooth beer with strong malty character and a bit of sweetness. Even stronger versions are called doppelbocks. Lambic. This beer family is almost exclusive to Belgium, especially a small area around Brussels. The most striking distinction of Lambics is their independence on the wild yeast to do the fermentation. The indigenous flora in the brewery, Lambics have a distinct tartness and are often the base for fruit beers. A Lambic requires that a minimum of 30% and sometimes up to 50% unmalted wheat be used in the mash. This creates a beer that's lighter in color and flavor than one that is straight malt. True Lambics are almost flat, with minimal carbonation and a distinct earthiness on the nose. Lambic production differs from normal beer production in a few ways. First, the wheat and malt combine to create a milky white mash. The wort requires a boil of at least 3 hours, longer than normal. Hops are added, but not a flavor or aroma. In this style, hops are used as preservatives, meaning fresh hops are not used, but rather older aged hops that have lost some of their aroma and bitterness. Finally, the cooled wort is placed in a shallow pan and placed in the fermentation room. That room, often the attic, has open windows and allow the wild yeast to inoculate the brew. There may be up to 70 different microorganisms that ferment the lambic. 2 of the most important are from the genus Bartenders, a relative of brewers use that yields aroma, reminiscent of coarse blanket or sweet, considered a fault in wine production. Other forms of yeast are similar to that of flour in sherry making. The result is not only alcoholic fermentation, but also a lactic one. This produces a beer with very vinous character, as well as tartness from lactic acid. The lambic is then aged in wooden barrels for up to 3 years, during which more reaction and fermentation occur. Gueuze. While true lambics are hard to find, a modification of the style is readily available. Gueuze is blended lambic, combining old and new beers. The addition of new lambic with its complete fermentation to old lambic with its host of microorganisms starts a secondary fermentation that carbonates the beer. The result is a champagne-like beer. It has toastiness and acidity. It's a complex and carbonation reminiscent of champagne, but with a longer lifespan. The final beer, depending on the brewer, may have a touch of sweetness or may be strictly dry. Fruit beers. Not all fruit beers are made from lambic. There are versions made from lagers and from dark ales. Here the discussion will be strictly about lambic-based fruit beers. Production of fruit flavor lambics is a recollection of former flavoring components of beer before hops. Because lambics are wheat beers, Hops are not the best flavoring ingredients. Instead, fruits such as cherries or raspberries complement the natural fruitness of the lambic. To make a fruit lambic, the brewer will add whole fruit of the barrels of fermenting beer. The beer is typically made in the spring, and the fruit from the fall harvest is added. After a month or two, full flavor of the fruit beer has been extracted into the beer. Some producers may age their beers longer, but the beer will typically be bottled and released close to 2 years after it was initially brewed. The traditional styles are cherry and raspberry, so it's possible to find apple, peach, and blackcurrant version. Wheat beer. There are two styles of wheat beers, one from northern Germany and one from southern Germany. The northern German beer is known as a Gueuze, or white beer. It is made with a small proportion of malted wheat added to the barley and a minimal amount of hops. The fermentation occurs not only with yeast, but also with cultivated lactic bacteria. These bacteria performs the same function as they would during a wine's malolactic fermentation. They convert harsh acid to the softer ones. The result is a beer with a distinct lactic tartness. Because of the tartness, Gueuze beer is often served with a shot of syrup, either an herbal wood syrup or raspberry. The wheat beers of southern Germany are known as Weizen wheat beers. They are also made with malted wheat, but the emphasis on the lactic fermentation is not there. These are light summery beers meant to be refreshing. They can be served filtered or unfiltered, indicated by the heft. These added to the same new. These beers have a distinct fruitness similar to apples or even typical fruits like banana and pineapple. They also have a club-like character when extremely fresh. Hops do not play an important